Vishu, we have studied quite extensively now Patanjali's Yoga Sutras from the first chapter, Samadhipada, and we've covered the first 14 sutras in detail. And now, when we began our studies, what we understood is that everything starts with the idea of mindfulness and mind control, and that's what the sutras are all about. And the deeper you get into it, there's more and more direction given about mindfulness, basically, and its various aspects. So today, before we move forward with the next sutras, can we understand what we've studied so far? Kind of a recap of the first 14 sutras and how they are all connected to each other.
See, Devita, when we study these Yoga Sutras, there is a connection. Of course, there is a connection with each sutra. When we start this first chapter named Samadhipada, from the first sutra, it looks like that Patanjali and we are having a conversation with Patanjali. Like Patanjali is telling us something, and then we put a question to Patanjali, and Patanjali is giving answer to that doubt, to that question.
Yes.
So at the beginning, when I open the book, the first thing that I read is Atha Yoga Anushasanam, means now the discipline of yoga.
Yes.
So Patanjali is telling yoga is a discipline which is related to now. So now your consciousness should be engaged with present moment.
Yes.
And how you learn, how you not get distracted from your path, and the capacity of learning which we discussed, which is what discipline means.
Yes.
So this is how the first sutra, Atha Yoga Anushasanam, now the discipline of yoga. Now I understand discipline and now is required for yoga, but what is yoga?
Yes.
In second sutra, Patanjali tells yoga se chitta vritti nirodha. Means yoga is cessation or control on your modifications of mind.
Yes.
When modifications of your mind and the movement of your thoughts are controlled, that state is yoga.
Wow.
Then you are a yogi.
Yes.
So, okay.
Once you've gained mind control.
Yeah. So I listen Patanjali, and then I am like, okay, if my modifications are controlled, then I am a yogi. Then what?
Yeah.
Then third sutra, Tada drastu svarupeva sthanam. Tada means then the seer, the observer, or you can say witness, established as a real self.
Wow.
Means Patanjali is telling when you have cessation of mind, when you have complete control on the mind, on the movement of mind, then you become a witness.
Yes.
Which is your reality, which is your real self.
Yes.
Patanjali used the word witness, others use like soul, supreme soul, Atman, many different names for the same.
Yes.
Then you find your Atman, your reality.
So your reality is one which is just observing the outside world. You're not getting involved in all the judgments and, I see something, I feel something. I'm not identified with that. I'm just a witness of that phenomena.
Exactly. Quite right. So you are a witness of what is happening.
Yes.
You become witness. Okay. Then question comes, if I am a witness, then who was I before?
Yes.
Then in the fourth sutra, Patanjali telling Vritya Sarupya Mitratra, means before you were identified with the movement of your thoughts. Before you are identified with the modifications of your mind. You are not a witness, which is your false identity.
Yes.
So third sutra, I find my reality as a witness, and I ask question who I was before reality. In fourth sutra, Patanjali telling before that you were identified through your modifications of the mind.
Yes.
Okay, then question comes, what are these modifications of the mind? What are this nature?
Yeah.
Then fifth sutra, Patanjali is telling Vritya Panchita Kalista Akalista, means modifications are fivefolds, and they are bringing in your life pain and pleasure, or sufferings and non-sufferings.
Yes.
Okay, I was identified before with the vrittis, and these vrittis are fivefolds, 5 types, and they are bringing suffering and non-suffering in my life.
Yes.
Then again question comes, what is that fivefold?
Yes.
In sixth sutra, Patanjali is telling these fivefold, these 5 vrittis where you are identified, where you are living your life, are Pramana viparya vikalpa nidra smritya.
Yes.
Means this true knowledge, false knowledge, imagination, sleep, and memory. Your whole life movement is into these five. You are identified into it, and you are moving into these five, and you are having sufferings and non-sufferings.
Yes.
The game of suffering, non-suffering, pleasure, and pain is continue there, where you are living like a slave of modifications of your mind. Yes.
And over here, when you say non-suffering, it's basically what we might otherwise call as happiness or joy, because we think that that's what's happening within us, but it's actually just the absence of suffering, right? That's why you call it
Absence of suffering, but it cannot be joy. It is just pleasure.
Yes.
Because joy, we understood, joy is completely out of the modification of mind. It is essence of nature, existence.
Right.
It's not a part of images. So what images brings to me? Pleasure and pain.
Yes.
So many different type of happiness are there, which we relate to pleasure, which are actually pleasure, and we call them happiness.
Yes.
So our life is into it.
Yes.
So in 6th Sutra, Patanjali have explained that 5 modifications are true knowledge, false knowledge, sleep, memory, and imaginations.
Yes.
Then question comes, what are these true knowledge, false knowledge, imagination, sleep, and memory? Yeah. Then in 7th Sutra, Patanjali describe about what is true knowledge. Patanjali tells that pratyaksha, anumana, agama, pramanani. Pramana means true knowledge. Yes. Means Patanjali telling that through direct cognition, through inference means deduction, and through trustworthy literature, you get true knowledge.
Yes.
Okay. Then what is false knowledge in next sutra? I understood true knowledge. What is false knowledge? Next sutra, Patanjali is telling false knowledge, viparya mithya janam atad rupe pratisthanam. Viparya mithya janam means false knowledge is an illusionary information which do not match and which do not look like reality. Yes. Which have no connection with reality, which is false knowledge, illusionary information. Okay, I have understood true knowledge and false knowledge, but what is imagination? Next sutra, Patanjali is telling Shabda Jananupati Vastu Shunya Vikalpa. Means on the knowledge which is based on symbols, the words, yes, the pictures and videos, that all knowledge which is stored, which I see in my head, is imagination. Yes. Which is based on words and symbols. Okay, I got understood this 3. What are the rest of the 2? So in 10th Sutra, Patanjali is describing about sleep, which is absence of the content of the mind is sleep. In Sanskrit, abhava pratyalambana vritti nidra. Okay, then last left, what is memory? Then Patanjali describes memory as anubhuta vishaya asampramosha smritya. Means what? My past experiences which are not stolen, yes, is memory. This is how from 1st to the 10th sutra, Patanjali tells about that you are identified with mind, modifications, and modifications are five types, bringing, yes, suffering, non-suffering.
Yes.
And these 5 modifications description is as I've just described. Patanjali tells in the sutra of 7th to 11th.
And so the key is that basically we have to have mind control over these 5 modifications.
Exactly. This is what yoga is.
In the beginning, right? In the first 2 sutras, yeah, we understand the key is to have all these modifications under control, and you control them, not they control you.
So you have to get control on them. We have understood it. Now question comes, okay, Patanjali, I have understood this is my modifications of the mind in which I live. I need to control them, but what is a way to control?
Yeah.
Patanjali telling abhyasa vairagyabhyam nirodha. To control them, you have 2 things, which is repeated practice and non-attachment.
Yes.
In 12th sutra, Patanjali is telling.
Yes.
Okay. Now I understand what is the way of controlling them, but I need to understand what is abhyasa, what is repeated practice you are talking about. Please explain it. Then in 13th sutra, Patanjali is describing tatra sthito yatno abhyasa. Means abhyasa, which is repeated practice, yes, is a practice of getting established into your consciousness. Means being a witness to what you are doing, yes, observing yourself. So you stay, you established yourself within.
Yes.
This is what practice of yoga is.
Yes.
So you're not very connected with the external world. Try to observe yourself.
Yes.
That is a practice. Okay, I will do this practice, but question comes, how long I have to do this practice?
Yes.
And when I will get the result of the practice. Patanjali very smartly giving answer in the 14th sutra, which we discussed last time.
Yes.
Satu dirgha kale narantariya satkar asevito dradabhumi. Patanjali saying, and then Satu dirgha kale, for a long time. You have to do this practice for a long time. Patanjali is not giving any limit that many days, that many years.
Yeah.
For a long time with patience means Satu dirgha kale narantariya. With continuity and with full respect into the practice.
Yes.
Then you will get firm ground. Then you will get the right result of the practice.
Right.
If you have these three things.
Okay.
So this is how it's like question and answering.
Right.
Like if one is really going into one sutra, you will the moment you will understand the whole structure of sutra, you always have a question, and then answer of the question is in the next sutra.
Right.
This is how they are linked with each other.
All these sutras that we've studied for now, again, they're in the first chapter of the book, but there are 4 chapters, right? So can we just in a nutshell understand the 4 chapters, like what is the focus of each chapter?
The first chapter named Samadhi Pada. The word Samadhi means the state of equilibrium, where you are not distracted. So it's about to get that state. Samadhi Pada is all about, actually the Samadhi Pada chapter, if you ask me personally, I would say that it is for people those are having good consciousness, healthy consciousness.
Right.
Those are not very broken in their life. Those are not having lower consciousness.
Yes.
Those have sense to look at themselves. They can enter and understand the subject better.
Yes.
Then second chapter is Sadhana Pad. Sadhana means practice, actually. Practice to achieve, to get their goal, however you take it.
Yes.
So Sadhana Pad is for the second level of consciousness deeper, not the higher. Highest level consciousness, I recommend first chapter,
right,
which is more easier for them to understand. Second chapter, Sadhana Pad, is practice.
Yeah.
About practices. So there are 8 limbs mentioned.
Yes.
Of yoga. So you can understand yoga through 8 limbs, and there are other sutras. It also talks about Kriya Yoga.
Right.
Third chapter name is Vibhuti Pada. The word Vibhuti means what you get after practice, the result of practice.
Right.
Like power, the energy that you achieve through yoga. It is a description of that.
Yes.
And fourth chapter is Kevalya Pada. Kevalya Pada is about the oneness.
Wow.
Describing what is oneness.
Yes.
This is how very beautifully, very scientifically, this text, Patanjali Yoga Sutra, is written in ancient time. But this science, I don't think so if it is ever going to be old.
No.
Because it's a science of consciousness. It works with energy. Energy rules remain same.
It's like the ultimate truth, because again, we've discussed this already, but even the modern day philosophers or any motivational speakers or whoever is speaking on the subject of spirituality, ultimately touching on the same points as Patanjali wrote about thousands of years ago, because these things don't change.
Exactly. Means by reading Patanjali Yoga Sutra, we call it Yoga Darshana. Darshana means by reading it, you look within. Here you are reading and you are looking. You are not putting something into your memory. You are not memorizing something.
Yes.
You are looking and learning. This is what a way of Yoga Sutra. Yes. If one will be able to look at it, will become a philosopher. Then you can see how these sutras you are dealing with day-to-day life.
Yes.
But it is a science. So you can discover yourself through this. That's it.
So since we understand that whether it's the first or second or third, fourth chapter, they're all really, like you said, it's an internal process. It's about your mind control, and the things that evolve as a result of it. But can I ask you, so where do asanas fall in all of this? And does Patanjali at any point, does he himself talk about asanas, or is it only about working on your mind?
Yeah, Patanjali talked about the word term asana. He given the term asana in the second chapter where he talks about 8 limbs, where he defines asana as state of body which is comfortable and non-moving, means still.
Yes.
Still and comfortable together.
Yes.
This point together. The moment you attain this state when physically you are very still and comfortable, that is asana, which is 1/3 limb of yoga.
Yes.
After that, you can enter into pranayama.
Right.
And then there are many stages pranayama. After that, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana. Then dhyana means meditation come on the 7th state.
Right.
8th is liberation, which is samadhi.
Yes.
So asana is defined by Patanjali, but the postures practice that we are doing today, it is a part of Hatha Yoga.
Okay.
Basically, Patanjali Yoga, we call it Raja Yoga.
Yes.
It's very ancient.
Yes.
Hatha Yoga came into practice actually, a text came in 12th century, Shiva Samhita. In Shiva Samhita, Hatha Yoga was described by Lord Shiva,
Yes.
which talks about 4 postures only.
Okay.
Not so many, only for 4 sitting postures.
Oh.
Like lotus, like pole postures, siddhasana, and all. Like 4 postures are mentioned.
Yes.
And then in 15th century, a text came, Hatha Yoga Pradipika.
Yes.
Hatha Yoga Pradipika talks about 15th asanas, 15 asanas.
Right.
Only. So they say that if you can do practice of this 15 asana, you can attain what Patanjali is talking about through this 15 asana.
Right.
Then in 17th century, another Hatha Yoga text came named Ghiran Samhita by the Master Ghiran. Master Ghiran described 32 asanas, 25 mudras.
Right.
Like this, it keep on increasing with time because our body is changing with time.
Yes.
At the time of Patanjali, our body perhaps was not the same as it is today.
Yes, that's true. Yes.
Perhaps it was easy for the people to just be comfortable and still at that time.
Yes.
But as the time changing, it's becoming difficult, more and more difficult. Like nowadays, if we just see a normal common person who's working in office 9 to 5 every day, if I say, okay, fold your leg and sit for 15 minutes without moving, will be very difficult.
Very difficult.
Comfortably will be
True.
difficult. So they have to go through this asana practice.
Right. Right.
But Patanjali didn't mention any asana, any particular posture.
So according to Patanjali or Raja Yoga, it's really all about mind work and not as much as about the physical practice of yoga. Is that how it is?
Raja Yoga is all about your psychological understandings through psychology, through your understanding how you transform. Because Raja Yoga, the Patanjali Yoga believes that body and mind are not two different things. This is one thing.
Yes.
So mind is more subtle. Mind is more, like you can say, we use the term monkey mind, more moving.
Yes.
So if we get control on the subtlest part, we can get control on the gross.
Right.
So this is how it worked. It was based on. But when Hatha Yoga text came, which I just mentioned,
yes.
in each Hatha Yoga it's written the purpose of Hatha Yoga is to prepare yourself for Raja Yoga.
Wow.
So through Hatha Yoga, you also prepare yourself for Patanjali at the end.
Right, right.
Patanjali is a base.
Right. And it's so interesting. Again, we've probably discussed this before, but it's so interesting that in today's day and age, unless you're going for a very specialized sort of training in yoga or a very specialized course, there's no mention of Patanjali Sutras at all. It's all variations of the asanas, variations of Hatha Yoga, basically. But there's no talk about the philosophy, the mind work. It's as if it's two completely different things in today's day and age.
Because nowadays the studios are there in Western world, in Eastern world, everywhere there are studios where people go and have 1 hour physical practice.
Yes,
physical practice. They don't want it to change psychologically. They just want to look good. They want to lose fat. They want to look fit. So this is which is happening, which is also good because they're still being healthy.
Yes.
But yoga is definitely, as you mentioned, yoga is something bigger than this, just only being physically fit.
So is asana practice equally important to the mental practice, or is it not as significant?
It is actually. It is very important actually, because the lifestyle that we are living, if we don't do asana and pranayama, these practices, then we will get sick. Physical body not very strong. It will be.
Yes.
We might get a disease.
Yes.
And in one sutra of Patanjali is mentioning what are the things which stops you to attain your goal in yoga. Actually,
Right.
there is no goal, but which create distractions on the path of yoga. The
Yes.
first thing which Patanjali mentioned is vyadhi. Vyadhi means disease. So
Right.
if we don't get the disease, then path becomes easy for us.
Right.
So it's our duty to make this body fit, free
Right.
from disease.
Through yoga
No,
and pranayama
yeah,
practice.
exactly. Because
Right.
ultimately, this is a truth, Devina, that we are going to attain, achieve this high consciousness, or we are going to get this higher awareness through this body. This body is a medium.
Yes.
So it's our
Exactly.
responsibility to keep this body healthy.
Yes. Exactly.